All right, what's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Wildcard Sports. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new. We got a couple topics we're going to talk about, and we got the facepalm topic coming up at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But we kind of have another facepalm topic. I'm going to review the Skip Bayless video where he goes over pretty much saying that Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to play the video for you. We're going to react to it. I want to hear your guys' reactions in the comments. I'll give you my take. We'll compare the two, Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. So, without further ado, here's the video of Skip Bayless talking about Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes.
A couple days after the Super Bowl, I got into it on air on Undisputed with my guys Keyshawn and Michael Irvin about how I still believe with all my heart and soul that Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes. Maybe just a little better, but just better than Patrick Mahomes. And I can back it up and I can prove it. What I can't defend is Joe Burrow staying healthy because he hasn't been healthy, as you well know, not consistently. But I definitely can defend what he did at San Francisco versus that 49er defense this past season versus what Patrick Mahomes did or didn't do against that same 49er defense in the Super Bowl.
So here's the thing. Pretty much Skip Bayless goes on in this video. He breaks down the Super Bowls for Mahomes, saying how he throws so many interceptions. And yes, Patrick Mahomes does. But at the end of the day, who's going to the Super Bowl? Patrick Mahomes. Sure, Joe Burrow made it to one Super Bowl but lost. Patrick Mahomes has made it to 4 Super Bowls, and he's won 3 of them. So in that respect, you got to give it to him. And if you break down the stats for Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Burrow, I'm going to show it right here for you guys so you guys can see. It's kind of hard to totally compare them both because at the end of the day, Mahomes has played 96 games. Joe Burrow has only played 52. So it's hard to compare the stats fully. But if you go to their head-to-head matchups, Joe Burrow is 2-0 versus Patrick Mahomes during the regular season and 1-1 in the playoffs. So they're very even there, obviously, in the playoffs. Sure, Joe Burrow owns the regular season record. So that's something to say. That's something to give Joe Burrow. As far as like complete skill-wise, maybe Joe Burrow has a better arm, if you want to say that. But at the end of the day, who's making the more plays, who's winning more games, and that's Patrick Mahomes, and obviously winning more championships. If you look at the awards and honors alone, all Joe Burrow has is 1 Pro Bowl. That's it. Obviously 0 championships, and other than that, nothing else. He hasn't even been All-Pro. But when you look at Patrick Mahomes, 6 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pros, 2 MVPs, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. So it's hard to compare, and it's crazy that Skip Bayless pretty much is saying, like, just because Joe Burrow played so well and tore up the 49ers this season, tore up the 49ers defense, and Patrick Mahomes didn't, Patrick Mahomes still beat us in the end and won the Super Bowl. And all Skip Bayless is saying is he's throwing it on that one game where Joe Burrow beat the 49ers, and that's why Joe Burrow is much better than Patrick Mahomes, and he will live and die by that, according to Skip. He will live and die by Joe Burrow being better than Patrick Mahomes. So I'm really curious what you guys think about this. I want to hear your take. If I had to pick, I would definitely go with Patrick Mahomes over Joe Burrow. Sure, you could break down other little stats that Joe Burrow will be better in, and then we'll, obviously figure out throughout his career. By the time, Burrow is playing 96 games, we'll see how he is in the stat category. Like Skip Bayless said, the number one thing is, can Joe Burrow stay healthy? And that's the number one thing for all quarterbacks, obviously. Can they stay healthy? It seems like almost year after year, something is happening to Joe Burrow, and that's what's kind of holding him back. The number one thing for Joe Burrow to come back from a wrist injury, can he play well this season? It is going to be tough. It could affect his throwing. We will see. But if he comes out this season and makes the playoffs just alone, that's a pretty good feat because they couldn't make the playoffs last year. But they had a good season, a semi-good season. They missed the playoffs barely. Can Joe Burrow bring the Bengals back? Sure, they got the weapons to do so. I'm not saying it's impossible at all. They definitely could make the playoffs and probably should make the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see what Burrow does this season, and will be interesting to see how Mahomes plays after winning a Super Bowl. They went back to back. I mean, go back to back to back is almost impossible, but we will see what Mahomes can do here. But do you believe what Skip Bayless is saying is true or not true? I know Skip has a lot of crazy things to say. He has a lot of takes that a lot of people don't agree with, especially me. I don't agree with all his takes either. But I want to hear your guys' take on this. Who's better, Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes? Let me know in the comments. So going on to topic number 2. This is the facepalm take that we all like, the segment that we like to talk about here. And I was scrolling the internet. I found someone posted this meme, and it was a legit tweet here from someone. It's their Twitter name is Hoops @HoopMixOnly, and I'll pop it up here so you guys can see it. And he says, "This era has been the greatest." And we'll break it all down. Best shooter of all time, Steph Curry. I could agree with that. I'll agree with that one. Best dunker of all time, Zach Lavine. I think he totally missed the mark on that one. Have you ever heard of Vince Carter? Best ball handler of all time, Kyrie Irving. It's not that he's a bad ball handler, but best of all time. Have you ever heard of Allen Iverson? Best scorer of all time. This is very debatable. He's saying Kevin Durant. Sure, he's a great scorer. Sure, he's an amazing scorer. But is he the best scorer of all time? That's hard to give it to Durant. I'm curious who your guys' best scorer of all time is. Best defender of all time. He's going Draymond Green as the best defender of all time. Sure, he's the best smack talker of all time, getting in people's faces, maybe getting in their heads. I don't know, causing havoc. But have you ever heard of Dennis Rodman? Best comeback of all time. I'll give it to them, the 16 Cavs, just because it was the NBA Finals. They came back from 3-1. There's been many of other teams that come back 3-1 in the NBA playoffs, but not in the NBA Finals. So sure, I'll give it to the Cavs on that one. And then the best player of all time. This one's going to be debatable for all years. It's they're saying it's LeBron James. Obviously, the big debate is Michael Jordan or LeBron, and a lot of people saying other people like Kareem. They're throwing him in there too. So I feel like that's opinion based right there. Sure, you could really break it down by stats and all that, but come on, just say LeBron is the best of all time. Sure, I know there's going to be people out there that say LeBron is the best of all time, breaking all these records, but it's a different game, less defense, more points are being scored. That's why he's shattering all these points records. And he's just playing a ton of games. He's stayed in the NBA for a very long time. That's the tweet. It says, "What a time to be alive." I'm curious what you guys agree on and disagree on in this. I want you guys to post your guys' list here of, shooter of all time, dunker of all time, ball handler of all time, scorer of all time, defender of all time, comeback of all time, and player of all time. I would say I agree with about 2 of those things, possibly 3. Definitely Steph Curry. I could see him being the best shooter of all time. But, that's debatable too, of course. I'll give him the comeback of all time, the 16 Cavs. And sure, you can put LeBron in the best player of all time. I'm not saying he is, but you could put him in that list. That is for sure. So I'm really curious to know what your guys' list is. This is this guy's take. It's kind of a facepalm take, especially for, saying Zach Lavine, the best dunker of all time. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. There's plenty. He's a great dunker, don't get me wrong, but there's plenty of dunkers that are better than him and just like more fun to watch than him, to be honest. So yeah, post your guys' list in the comments. Would love to hear it. It's a shorter podcast today. I keep it nice and short just so you guys could binge it quick and move on with your day. And appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new. That definitely helps the channel. Stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.